Hello YouTube, this is Chris back with another travel video of a country I haven't been to yet, Uruguay. It's another country that I'd like to go to if I ever get the time. It's from a channel called Tales from the Road. Let's get into it.
Hello travelers, my name is Pierce, this is Tales from the Road. Thanks so much for stopping by again. Today, because you clicked on this video, we're obviously going to talk about the beautiful South American nation of Uruguay, or as we say in America, Uruguay. This is a really cool place, a place that's little traveled, little explored, but a place, if you go to South America, you definitely should check out. So, that sounds good, let's get into the content. Bye. Let's hop into a little bit of history and geography so we can get to know Uruguay a little bit better.
Okay.
Uruguay, first and foremost, is a very small country, the second smallest country in the entire continent of South America, and sandwiched between two of the largest countries in the entire world, Argentina to the south and Brazil to the north. I think Uruguay is a perfect example of how cultures can kind of blend through regions, meaning that having been part of the Portuguese colonial empire and being a border nation to Brazil, as well as being part of the Spanish colonial empire and being a border nation of Argentina, has left its culture, its language, its practices on this very hybrid place. Geographically speaking, Uruguay is in an area called the Pampas, which is a vast grassland that spans most of southern Brazil and northern Argentina. This is a huge factor in its economy and how Uruguay has consolidated its wealth as a country, as cattle raising and cowboy culture is at the center of Uruguayan identity. Also sitting in the Rio de la Plata and being right next to the mega city of Buenos Aires, shipping trade is an incredibly important thing for Uruguay, as well as having amazing beaches being on the coast. Uruguay has a lot to offer, and I can't wait to tell you about the rest of it in my more practical information. So, getting into Uruguay for Americans is incredibly easy. You get 90 days visa-free on entrance, and you can fly in, of course, to the capital city, Montevideo, which many people do. Also, many people on a trip to Argentina will be staying in the city of Buenos Aires. They have ferries, which go to a city called Colonia de Sacramento, which is sort of your launching point into Uruguay, which is only 2 hours by bus to Montevideo. The visa process is super easy, the stamp in and out is super easy, and doesn't require much hassle or much thought. Money. The currency in Uruguay is called the Uruguayan peso, and right now it's trading something like $1 equals 40 pesos. In all honesty, Uruguay was one of the most expensive places that I went to in all of South America, and was by far more expensive than Argentina, and probably 20 to 30% more expensive than Brazil. You can probably find a pretty reasonable hotel in any of the coastal cities as well as Montevideo for probably $40 to $50 a night. Although if you want to stay at a nicer, higher level, maybe like 3 stars, you're probably going to want to go for $80 to $100 per night. Ooh. I noticed the food was a lot more expensive than that of Argentina, and the average price for like a dinner was something around 15 to 20 US dollars. And the steak was notably much more expensive than Argentina, almost maybe 5 times or 6 times more expensive. Wow. Everybody comes to Uruguay for the steak, so get prepared to pay normal steak prices. Wow. Transportation. Getting around Uruguay is really not that complicated, as the country is incredibly small. Every city has more or less a major bus station, although there aren't that many big cities in Uruguay, and there's really no reason to go into the Pampas region unless you want to go wine tasting, horseback riding, or see some of this gaucho culture that is so prominent there.
I'd want to see all of that.
Most of the time you'll spend in Uruguay will be on the coast, and buses, taxis, and private cars, of course, go between those quite easily. Transportation is pretty fair priced. Always just go to the central bus station, ask a couple questions, and you should be able to find a reasonable way to your destination for a reasonable price. If you want to go back to Argentina or to cross the Rio de la Plata, as I said before, there is a ferry that goes quite often. There's a link in the description if you're interested in taking the ferry in or out of Uruguay. Safety. Within Uruguay, the place that you're realistically going to have the most safety concerns is Montevideo, as it's the biggest city and has the highest rates of crime and poverty in the whole country. That being said, there are a couple of rules of thumb when traveling in South America that you should always follow. And if you do these things, it shouldn't be a problem traveling in Uruguay. 1, always make sure you know where your wallet is, don't leave it in a back pocket, and make sure to keep it in a safe place. Number 2 is don't walk around at night and don't walk around in neighborhoods that you don't know. Right. Most of the hotels in Montevideo or places you'll stay are probably in a reasonable part of the city. That being said, at night, you always leave yourself to more risks. So I normally take taxis at night. That's sort of a rule of thumb for me in South America. And also don't make yourself stick out too bad so people don't want to rob you.
Right.
Also, if you have phones or
Right.
cameras or something, please don't leave them on tables when you're sitting, as someone could quickly on a bike or just run up and take them and run away from you.
Right.
We don't want that. That would suck.
Yes, it would.
Language. This section for me is actually quite funny because I would like to think that my Spanish skills are not too bad, but the Spanish that they speak in Uruguay is just not Spanish. Think of it as the Scotland of Spanish speakers, where people who come from that region are pretty understandable for each other. But man, when you are learning a different dialect of Spanish, if you learn Mexican Spanish or you learn Castellano Spanish from Spain, you are in a lot of trouble in Spanish. I was trying to check into a hotel when I was in Montevideo, and the front desk manager was so not understandable with my pretty reasonable Spanish level that I was actually kind of ashamed of myself. That being said, if you speak Spanish, everyone's going to understand you. You just might not understand what they have to say in return, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, on to my favorite section, food. So, the national dish, and I learned this when I was cooking my national dish series, is called chivito, which is a big old sandwich with like 4 types of meat, steak, including egg on top, and then, put in between some crusty bread. Wow. This sandwich really embodies the food culture of Uruguay, as this is a meat-forward, sausage-forward food culture. If you go to any little cafe in Montevideo or any smaller city, you will find a bevy.
Of course, I can dig all of that. I like all that, but without the egg, I can't do the eggs like that. But the rest of it, the steak and the sausage, and yeah, we can. Me and Uruguay, we need to
Of meat options with a side. It could be roasted pork, it could be morcilla or blood sausage, it could be a big piece of steak with maybe some French fries, maybe some potatoes, maybe some rice, you name it. I think the go-to for a lot of people when they come to Uruguay is either really good seafood because they're on the coast, or steak and wine and sausage. I think that's kind of where it starts, and I think that's where a lot of Uruguayans would also like it to end. If you only have a couple days in Uruguay and you want something really good to eat, just find the word asado or parrilla. That's basically a place that has a open grill with charcoal. They put all kinds of meats, doesn't matter what animal necessarily, over it. They roast it to perfection. Get a good bottle of local wine. You can, of course, go to the Pampas and have this as an experience, or you can go to a restaurant in Montevideo or any other city along the coast. All the same, all good, all delicious. So last up, I'm going to tell you some really nice things to do in Uruguay, not in any particular order. First, go to Colonia de Sacramento. It's a really nice old Portuguese colonial city on the coast. It's an easy day kind of send from Buenos Aires. You can, of course, arrive by the ferry, take a taxi in. The city is very cute itself, but they really have centered it on this old colonial thing. You can take some really nice photos. The buildings are beautiful. There's not a terrible amount of things to do, but the quaint parks, nice walking streets, and overall vibe is worth a stop for sure. Next, you're going to want to go to the big bad capital city of Uruguay, Montevideo. Montevideo is the modern lifeblood of modern Uruguay. They have the new town, they have an old town, they have shops, restaurants, things to do, museums. If you want to see Uruguayan culture in a modern context, this is the spot for you. Budget a couple days. It's not the biggest city in the world, but it does have a nice access to beaches. It has a lot of good walking places and really good bars and restaurants. Next, there's lots of good beach towns that you can visit on your way up towards Brazil on the northern border. Some of these include Punta del Este, Punta del Diablo, or Faro Ignacio Jose. All of these are nice chill places with pretty reasonable year-round weather and a good place to pause on a big road trip through South America. The last thing that I would recommend is going into the Pampas, either renting a car and just going in there and maybe like researching a couple different options, or of course taking a tour with with other tourists. But finding specifically something called an estancia, which is basically like a big agricultural center where they specialize in either raising horses for various activities, or producing cattle to then be used for meat and other like cow-related production. The cool part here is that this is the best place to eat in the entire country. They also have plenty of vineyards to try local wine. So a meat and wine, maybe mixed with a little bit of horseback riding, is definitely the most Pampas experience that you could have in Uruguay. As a last note for Uruguay, there are a couple particular things that maybe you'd want to do and maybe you should read about before you do them.
Okay.
Number one is it's a huge soccer country. So if you have the opportunity to watch the Uruguayan national soccer team play in a local bar in any city, that's definitely going to be a memorable experience. You can also see Uruguayan soccer played in the various stadiums around the country, the biggest one being in Montevideo.
Okay.
Number two, it's one of the most liberal countries in the world. And yes, that green is legal. So I'm not sure if that's something you want to do while you travel, but that's something unique and interesting about Uruguay. And yes, you will see it when you go around. That being said, this country certainly has a lot to offer and is a great stopping point on any trip from Argentina north. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. It would be super helpful for me. I am doing my Project 197 where I'm cooking a dish from every country in the world. I made Uruguayan chivito. Check out that if you're interested in Uruguayan cuisine, as well as follow along on TikTok and Instagram if you enjoy food-related content. That's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Adios, amigos. Hello, my friends and
All right, that was a great video, and exposed me to a lot about Uruguayan culture and food. So I'd be really interested to go there and try the steak and the wine, actually. And again, this is a video from Tales from the Road. So check out their channel for content and like and subscribe to my channel. Because, like I said, I do like to travel, go to different places. I wish I had started 20 years ago. Earlier than when I did, but I just wasn't around a lot of travelers at that time until I was I guess about 2010 or 11 or so when I lived in Atlanta. But I enjoy traveling now, seeing new places and things and taking photos and such. But yeah, so see you in the next one.